Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Disruptive Franchise Podcast. My guest this week is the fabulous recruitment trainer herself, Ali Braid. Hi, Ali.
Oh, hi, Stacey, and thank you for that lovely intro there. I'm good. I'm good. I'm very excited to be having
Good.
this chat with you. So
Super.
thank you for inviting me.
Oh, pleasure. Absolute pleasure. When I thought about putting the awards on and like who I'd like on stage
Yeah.
and like the partnership packages, you were really top of mind because your energy is
Yeah.
just infectious. Absolutely
Oh,
infectious. I'll let you
thank
introduce yourself
you.
and then I'm going to tell the story of how we first met. So tell
Oh,
us a little bit about what you do.
brilliant. Oh, thank you. So a little bit about me, the recruitment trainer, which I was surprised actually no one had taken that name already and that website. So I was lucky there. So I work with an upskill everyone in a sales role, usually in the recruitment industry. And I've coined the term a learning conversationalist because I'm a big believer in doing when you're learning. And yeah, it's not like listening to a lecture and just sitting there taking notes. I want people to be involved. That's really important to me. Because it also allows people to have fun. So I'm a big believer in having fun while you're learning, because actually a lot of research as well has shown that you remember more when you've enjoyed yourself, funnily enough. So that is me. I've been running the business for 9 years. I just had my 9-year anniversary a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, I still love it most of the time as a business owner. But I get to work with great people. I get to work with great people like you. And so, yeah, so loving it still. And I've worked in the recruitment industry as a whole for 22 years. And I've been on the sales side. I've been on the support side. I've done, yeah, a lot of parts within that. So I like to share, what I've experienced, which I'll be doing on Friday.
Amazing. So to have you on stage, so as we record this podcast, the awards are going to happen literally this Friday, and we're both so excited.
Yeah.
Chatting off camera, like ready to go. And like, oh, wait, it'll be so good. So if you're not there, you're going to miss it. But absolutely, everyone in the room is going to love it. I first met you, Ali,
Yeah.
at franchise conference for Harmony at Home. That was like the first time that I'd seen you talk. And as I said in your intro, I
Yeah.
just found energy was so infectious. Like there's a real kind of
Oh,
mixture, I think, in any franchise about how people feel about sales, because we know we have to do sales in
yes.
franchise. Um, Particularly with Harmony at Home because they are a recruitment franchise. But the way
Yeah.
that you just kind of lit the room up really struck me.
Oh, thank
Really,
you. Don't make me cry.
yeah, really did
Thank
though.
you.
Because I go to a lot of sales talks, I go to a lot of franchise conferences. And there was
Yeah.
just energy, and I just love that energy. And the fact that we're going to put that energy into the awards this year just made me so excited. It really did.
Yeah.
I remember actually
Oh,
when
thank you.
I spoke to you about like whether you'd come and do it, like we kind of basically sat and mapped
Yes.
out the like there and then, didn't we? Which was
Didn't
wonderful.
we? Yeah, yeah. It was great. And again, I have to say, I love your energy. And I think that's why we just, we got straight down to designing the session, because we're both like, oh, and you could do this and you could do this. And yeah, so it's great. It's great. And again, watching you speak, because I'd never heard anyone, like you, Stacey, talk about what you do in the way that you do. So yeah, so it felt like a meeting of minds and positiveness, which was great.
Yeah,
Is that a word?
absolutely.
Positiveness?
Oh,
Positivity.
we make up all kinds of words on this
Yeah.
podcast.
Oh,
Another
good, good.
word
Glad I'm
going,
not the only one.
think that's but it doesn't matter because it's
Exactly.
all communication, and that's really what we're about.
Exactly. As long as we know what we mean, it's fine. And hopefully everyone listening does as well.
Exactly that, exactly that. So obviously this is all about innovation and
Yes.
disruptiveness as an awards. Why is disruptiveness and or innovation really important to you?
Yeah. So I think there's a number of reasons um, for why I think they're important. And I think it kind of crosses two things. I think in recruitment, in the industry that I've worked in for most of my adult working life, I think you have to be ahead of the game. So you have to always be looking at what's changing, what's new, and making those decisions around what's going to work. And a lot of clients that I work with, there's a lot of discussions now, for example, about AI and, how you incorporate AI into your tech stack. And there's lots of great stuff, but I think, that innovation is sometimes mistaken for just buying the new thing. And actually, sometimes we don't need the new thing. We just need to improve what we already have, which I'm sure you see a lot with the people you work with, right? So yeah, I think it's all about being aware of what's out there, but actually making the right choices for you and the right choices for your customers and your clients, but also as a business owner. And I try and do that for myself as well, because I think I can be very much the next shiny thing, syndrome. But actually, do I need it? Do I want it? Is it going to serve me, in the way that I need it to? But then the other arm for me is kind of that learning piece. So, I'm very into, how we learn, how the brain helps us to learn. And again, the world of training and development is constantly changing. And the way that I used to train people, 10, 15 years ago is different now, which is a good thing, right? It's a good thing. And you have to move with the times, and you have to move with the scientific research. And I think if you are, it makes you the best you can be ultimately, which I think is what we're all striving for ultimately. So yeah.
Completely agree with that. I think it is very much about kind of like I'm I'm a self-confessed marketing geek. I love marketing, I love franchise, but what I
Yeah.
really the most is to constantly be learning. And I have to be really careful that I don't kind of just do the shiny object learning, like perpetual learner, and actually have to start implement
Yes.
for sure. But I think a lot of people are like that, aren't they? Like certain people that I attract to work with want to learn, but the skill is in the implementation of the learning, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, that's the hard bit, right? Isn't it? Yeah, that's the hard bit. And I think you and I, as you say, we see that a lot. I think there's the openness to learning, which you need, but also, right, well, what are you going to do now, folks? You've taken this thing, but yeah, how do we implement that into the everyday? And again, I find that fascinating, because we're looking at habit building, and how long does that take to do something automatically? I've been reading around sort of testing, for example, and actually testing is a form of learning. So actually, it's not about testing that I know all of this. It's actually, you can test yourself continuously, because that is another way that we recall information. So yeah, but like you, I can fall down the rabbit hole and then think, well, that was great, but is that useful for anyone other than just me finding out about it? Yeah. So I think you're right, we can all be a bit guilty of that.
Definitely. You mentioned there, Ali, about kind of how you have trained people has changed over the years. What's been the biggest change, do you think?
Oh, that's a lovely question. I would say it does relate more to how the brain works, and how we recall information, and how we change our daily habits. Yes, I think there's still a place, for example, for role plays and presentations and the recall of information. But I think the way it's done, and probably the regularity. If I think back to courses I used to run, and we were always doing role plays and tests and quizzes, and I think it's got its place. But actually, in a lot of my sessions, what I find is people just want to share. People want to share experiences. And I had a week last week with Antown Recruitment, who are a worldwide franchise business. and I was working with new business owners, you know, they've all got careers already, you know, they've worked in engineering, they've worked in pharma, they've, you know, they've had a career already for 20 odd years. So when they come in a room with me, absolutely they want to share, you know, how what they've experienced in life already links to what we're doing now, you know, and I think that's really important, to allow people to talk about that. And then, yes, to do some group work and, you know, write some scripts and practice. But actually, yeah, I think there's a lot more. What an individual brings is important. I don't think it's just about the syllabus or the learning objectives, or, you know, but what does that person already have that we can utilize? And I find that really interesting, actually.
I like that. I do. I think it's actually to kind of link back into franchise point of view, from a franchise recruitment
Yeah,
perspective. Obviously, the franchisor goes out and hopefully finds their ideal franchisee, you know, the ideal client profile. I think
yeah,
actually, whenever I sit and do work
yeah,
with a franchisor, like, oh, ideal client, oh, like, no, but it's the underpinning of
yeah,
everything, literally,
yeah, everything.
right in there.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's about trying to find that ideal person and what they bring to the franchise as well, because as much as a
yes,
franchisee is an
yeah,
individual candidate and an individual business in their own right, actually, you know, we all do well when we all do well. So when we bring in franchisees into recruitment network, into franchise network, sorry, with really good key recruitment, it strengthens that whole brand, it strengthens that whole network, right?
yeah, yeah. I love that. And I think, you know, I've just written it down what you said, you know, we all do well when we do well. And I think that's, yeah, that is it for me. And whether you're a franchisor, whether you're a recruitment franchise business, whatever you're doing, that enjoyment and feeling of success is really important, isn't it? And I think, yeah, whether you're learning, whether you're starting your own business, but that's kind of it can keep you going when things aren't going so well, which again I will be sharing on Friday. But yeah, I love that. We all do well when we all do well. Thank you.
Well,
I'm going to take that.
oh, it's not mine actually. It was Danny Wallace, who's going to be at the awards this year. I'm sure
Yes.
she.
Oh, amazing.
But yeah, she says it a lot,
Yeah.
and it really resonates with me because, again, particularly in franchise, yes, you can go be an island, but actually, it's better to take everyone along that
Yeah.
journey with you always. Um, I want to
Yeah.
circle into circle. I don't know why I said circle, but I want to circle into disc profiling and profiling candidates, because this
Oh,
is a
yeah.
question I get asked about a lot.
Yes.
And I know it's something that you're very passionate about in this area. Um,
Yeah.
when we're looking at like
Yeah.
who to bring into a franchise, should
Mm.
like and any recruitment really, how important is it
Yeah.
to look at the profile of the person in terms of the fit
Mm.
overall? And can we
Yeah.
get
I
clarity?
think, yeah, well, and I think this is the thing, isn't it? And know I think with profiling, if you say that word to anyone, you know, or personality test, or, you know, I think it can be a bit polarizing. I think it can be a bit like Marmite. People either love it or they hate it, right? For understandable reasons. I love it, obviously. And I think something like DISC, other profiling tools are available, but I think with DISC, for example, you do get some really deep insights. And I remember when I had mine done for the first time, and honestly, I remember reading it and thinking, how do they know? How do they know all this about me just from, you know, 50 questions? Like, honestly, it blew my mind, you know, from the strengths to the weaknesses to the stuff I enjoy, don't enjoy. Yeah, it was just, there was nothing wrong with it. You know, it was absolutely correct. So I think for me and for franchise business owners, I think it takes away an element of guessing, because we all know that human beings in an interview situation will be the best they can be, right? They want to shine, they want to be remembered, don't they? And what that means is you don't always get a true reflection of what they're like in certain situations. And I think, and I see this a lot actually in recruitment, when in a recruitment business, when everyone's making money, when things are going well, everyone's a delight, right? Everyone's lovely to work with because the money's coming in, the stuff's going on the board, there's energy, everyone's great. What? Yeah, the bell's ringing, they're on their bikes or, whatever. But no, it's a great atmosphere when things are going well. Juggling, there's clowns, I don't know. But, and this is the big but, when times are tougher, that's when you see, of course, the real kind of person, right? What do they do when the deals aren't going up on the board and the phone isn't ringing, right? So I think for franchise business owners, that's the key for me. That's the magic, because how will that person respond when business isn't going so well, or sales aren't coming in, or all of the good stuff that we know isn't always consistent? So how will they behave? How will they deal with it? How will they motivate themselves? So that for me is the secret sauce with something like DISC, is that you can see, when you're up against it, how are they going to behave? And then it's less of a risk. I think ultimately you're taking away some risks already by employing this person that actually you don't really know at all. You've maybe spent a couple of hours with, or half a day with, or so yeah. But I, as you say, I love it because there's nowhere to hide. And you really get to the nitty gritty of that person.
Yeah, I agree with that. So from a DISC profiling point of view, it must have been DISC. DISC is the colours, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I had a corporate experience of DISC, and I wasn't at my best.
Really?
Yeah, and I wasn't at my best.
Yeah.
I'd done it previously, and I had very red energy,
Yeah.
very leader, like driver, that kind of thing. But I wasn't at my best in this work situation. And in fact, I was literally like on the verge of a breakdown. Like I laugh, but genuinely.
Yes. Oh no.
Yeah, and I talk about it in an episode in the podcast, in episode 1. But the interesting thing about being at that corporate at that time was we all got profiled for a team bonding day. It was supposed to be like this fun bonding day, and we learn more about each other, and they profiled us.
Yeah.
And my energy was completely different. And it came back very much like I think I'd gone from very red to I think I was yellow, maybe, like where I was like pulling back.
Yeah.
I wasn't like the leader in the team. I was like terrified to say anything. I got my head bitten off, that kind of stuff, and just like wasn't myself. And it was really interesting when we got the results back for the DISC profile, because we got it all back in the team session. Like we didn't get like personal time through it, and I just read through it, and I immediately knew I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here because my whole energy, I knew myself, but to get it on paper, my
different.
whole was like absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah,
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, and actually, and you know what? I'm really pleased you've shared that, because I think that is the thing to say as well, isn't it? That it can change because we change and we feel differently on different days. And the color, whether it's colors, and you're right, there's colors, it's all from Freud's four types, and whether you do colors or DISC or something else, actually you can change. And I remember doing another one, which is a Nigel Reisner, and he does animals. So he does monkey, elephant, what else? Dolphin, lion. Was that lion already? Can't remember. And I did it twice. So I did it one day when I was feeling particularly probably red, business owner, everything feels hard, people are saying no to me, people are challenging me, so I was a lion that day. And then I did it another day, and I was a monkey, so playful and creative and all that stuff. So I think you're right. I think there is always that element of we're not the same all the time. But how interesting that you knew it, and it showed you, hang on a minute, this isn't right, this is not good for me.
Yeah, it was really funny.
Yeah.
And actually, you could almost,
Yeah.
having done a little bit of work on it in a previous company, I could almost kind of say what I thought other people were. We had to like judge others and like say in a nicer way, you know, what we
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
everyone is. And I was right about everyone
Yes.
else,
Yeah.
but mine was completely off. It was really funny. But I think you made a really good point back
Yeah.
there in, you know, we perform how we think we should. And I think in an interview
Yeah.
process, like from a franchise
Mm.
recruitment process, a lot of people have never been in like a
Yeah.
investment interview situation where they're going to invest in a business. So they
Mm.
approach it like
Yeah.
a interview, a job. And then the franchisor was like, "Ugh, well, I don't
Yeah.
know who they are because they just give me this all the gloss rather than who they are." So I
Mm.
think there is probably a place
Yeah.
there for the right kind of profiling
Yeah.
for people, just as an aid rather than as like the
Yeah.
decision.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And I believe that. I don't believe you should base a whole decision on it. And I think that's why people can be quite wary of it. But I think you're right, as a tool. Um, and in my last business, everyone did one. And some people were like, oh, this isn't me. And the rest of us were like, yes, it is. Not everyone likes them. And I understand that. But I think that, maybe we're holding up a mirror here. They don't want to look. But what it did do actually was allow us as well to see each other's strengths and weaknesses. And again, sort of seeing it in black and white, we're like, oh my God, yeah, that is you and that is you. And again, it wasn't about being right or wrong, or that person's nicer than that person. It's all about we are all different, and how can we work together as a team. So like you said, I think for a franchisor to go, yeah, do you know what? You are the right mix for me, because your strengths are different to my strengths, which is what we're going to look at together on Friday. That's where the magic can happen, I think, because again, we don't want everyone who's like the franchisor. If you're recruiting anyone in any business, people that are just like you, that causes problems. So having that, that diverse approach, I think, yeah, is helpful for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. It was interesting. So
Yeah.
our recruitment day, at our franchise conference day for Daisy First Aid,
Oh yeah.
we did all of our profiles in a
Yeah.
different system. And it was really interesting because we definitely have a type of person in a really positive way, caring, safe space. It was
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
but
Nice.
as MD, kind of can step back and go, I think we need some more of that type of person though, because the wheel
Yeah.
isn't quite round. Yeah,
Yes.
really.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got maybe a flat wheel. I like
Got a
that
flat
analogy. Yeah.
tire. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
There's a
Well,
little
that's
bit of
it.
a gap here.
And I think yeah, how interesting. And this is it. I think, for example, I know, because, and I was told this regularly as an employee, I'm not very detail focused. I like the big picture, and I get excited about the big stuff. And but sometimes the implementation gets lost, right? Because I just lose interest very quickly.
Yeah.
Which is why my assistant Emma is amazing, because she brings me, back on track. What about this? Have you thought about this? And I need that, and I know I need that, and someone to really slow down, into what we're doing. Because if she was just like me, nothing would ever get finished. so yeah, to pump up the tire. If we carry on with that analogy, I love that.
I do. Yeah, I like that. We need to pump up the tire. I like it.
Yeah.
I really do. Ali, in terms of what you do, obviously you see probably a very good side and a very bad side at times, as we all do with everything. Do you have like a big ick?
Yeah.
Do you have like a big recruitment ick where you're like, oh, I hate it when they do that? Or not really?
Oh, no, they're definitely there. Let me have a think. They're definitely there. I think one, actually, I don't see this as much, I have to say, and none of my clients that I work with do this, but I think in recruitment there was a tendency 5-10 years ago, certainly with candidates, to treat candidates like a sort of disposable commodity, right? That they weren't very, they weren't very important. They don't pay the invoice, right? The client pays the invoice. And I think sometimes what happens is it creates this sort of power imbalance. The client's here, the candidate's down here, and we're somewhere in the middle. And I think what's changed, which is a very good thing, is there's no power imbalance. There shouldn't be anyone that's more important than anyone else, because if you are a consultative recruiter, everyone in that process is important. And almost, the candidates now, if you don't have any candidates, you're not going to make any money. So when I'm working with people, I always say, look, ultimately, your candidates should be top of your list, that they're what brings in the revenue. So I think, definitely Nick was, kind of this very dismissive attitude to people that might be calling in or they might work with. As I say, that has definitely lessened over the years. But I think 20 odd years ago, I hope I was never like this as a recruiter. But I think candidates weren't seen really as people. They were seen as potential paychecks, but not given the support that they deserved, in their careers. So that's the one ick that comes to mind for me. I can't. It's unlike me, but I can't really think of any more at the minute. That's probably it for now.
All that pressure. Yeah, that's good though. I mean, I know what you mean. Actually, I really do. And I think back to franchise, it's almost like, at the moment in franchise recruitment, as we sit and record this in 2025, like there is this huge need for more leads. And so we look at, okay, I need to drive X number of leads. I need the leads. And what's forgotten for me sometimes is that they're people. And you're like, oh, this person hasn't come back. I'm being ghosted. Like, that's a busy person. They're not doing it on purpose to give you the ick or
no, it's not personal.
Personal. And I think that for me is like my like yes, we all hate being, yes, we are going to be ghosted, but we have to remember that as much as we're contacting sales leads in this case, actually they're people. They've got lives and they're busy and not top of mind for them.
No, and you're so right, Stacey. And actually, I always say to people, it's not personal. And I think, and we all have this, don't we? When it's your own business, it feels very personal, right? But it so rarely is. And I think if you can sort of remove that emotion, and as you say, just be really pragmatic. Everyone's busy. Everyone's got stuff to do. Everyone's got, families and parents and lives and friends and, whatever else is, trying to have a life, absolutely. I think you're right. Those leads, if you dehumanize that, it can feel almost like it's against you, but actually it isn't. It very rarely is it really, in our experience? I don't think.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is just that we are all busy, and particularly if you look at who that demographic is, you're trying to get in front of mums or teachers or people who work in the NHS. It's all common kind of ideal franchisees. They're the busiest people. If they are, a parent who is working in the NHS or a parent who is teaching, like they are the busiest people. And so it's just for me, my own kind of like slight ick from a franchise recruitment point of view would be that. Let's not forget.
Would be that. They are people.
If we just remember that they are actually people, which is nice. Ali, tell me, if I could wave one for you and you were immune from failure, you couldn't fail. What was the one thing you did?
Oh, if I couldn't fail. And I've really been thinking about this, because this question blows my mind, and I heard you ask this question the first time we met, and I haven't got over it really. So what would I do? I mean, I think from a business perspective, I think that I always find I'm sort of in this place of, to be successful, I have to have lots of people working for me, right? But actually in training, that's quite hard. It's quite hard to have lots of people in a training business. So I think my kind of direction on that, if I couldn't fail, I think is more about community for me, and kind of building something that is valuable, is useful to recruiters, and it's training, but it's other things too. And maybe that's a space, maybe that's a kind of a physical hub, because I think we're all still in that place of needing that. Well, I don't think we ever will be, as human beings, to not need to be together. So if I couldn't fail, I think it would be about building this kind of community training hub. It's not about having lots of me's, because that's not necessarily what anyone wants, but it's more about having that community feel and that space for learning. So that would be my business one. And maybe following that through, because I know you said about the personal element as well, maybe as well more in the community, because I love where I live and we do have a great community. And there's lots of shops that are empty, as I know there are in lots of high streets right at the minute. So what can we do with these empty shops? Is there something there as well around community and building spaces where people can be together and they can learn and help each other? So as I said, it really got me thinking about this, because you can just go anywhere you want, can't you? which is scary. And I know I've heard you talk about this, the fear. And it does give me the fear, but in a good way, in quite a freeing way, isn't it? So
It's
I love it, and I'm going to carry on it.
cool.
Sorry.
It's almost like the only limit is our own limit, is our own fear. Like if we can step out of fear and let go of that fear of failure, what would we go and do? And then we kind of go, but this will happen and that will happen. It's easier to stay where I am, like it's safe. Your brain's job is literally safe from these huge ideas that might lead a tiger to jump out of a cave and eat us, because that's our primal instinct of protection.
That's where we go.
There we go. But what I love about the question, what I love about asking people, is that there's always like a little spark in someone's eye, and you just start to see that imagination start to let go and go a little bit more wild, which is so nice. And that's what you would do. Community is so important. And we talk a lot with a lot of guests about AI and things like that, and what that's going to mean in the future. And actually, AI is never going to replace the need for community, never, because we humans, humans to be around. So that. I just come back from Ideas Fest, and at Ideas Fest, the whole thing about Ideas Fest is community, because yes, we're told build an audience. If you want to sell things, you need to build an audience. So if you want to sell your training, you've got to build an audience. But actually, what we need, not an audience, is community, who will back us and champion us and make us feel, and so we can.
Interesting. I
love it.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. Right, I need to make some plans, I think. So thank you.
Space for Ali's community. We'll definitely be talking about it on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
I also really like the of using the space that's there already. I often walk past obviously every high street has all the empty shops, and for me, about what you would do, not what I would do, but for me, there's such a opportunity there with those empty shops and those empty spaces, and whether that is to drive in community, or it's we have a huge, without being political, a huge rising number of homeless people. Can we not get them in there just for and I know it's political and ownership, and I'm looking at the idea that there has to be a better use of the spaces that are there already.
Yes, of the space, totally. Absolutely. And there must be a way of doing it. I
think we are
thinking
as a human race, I think we are obsessed with building new things rather than purposing what's already there. What's interesting about
what we've already got. Totally. And as you say, I'm just thinking about our council, but there must be a way. Must be a way. So leave it with me and I'll let you know how I'm doing next year. This time next year.
We'll have love it. Ali, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh,
Absolutely
no,
loved it.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Loved it. How can people find you if they're listening and like, I need a bit more Ali in my life? How do they find you?
Oh, thank you. If they do, so you can find me on LinkedIn. Ali Braid, like hair braid, 1L in the alley. I am on Instagram, so the Recruitment Trainer. So yeah, or you can just email me, Ali at therecruitmenttrainer.co.uk. Would love to hear from your listeners, and yeah, if they want to ask me anything about DISC, anything about interviews, recruitment, yeah, I'm all ears and I will do what I can to help.
Amazing. Thanks, Ali. We'll put all the links in the show notes for you as well. Ali, thanks
Brilliant.
very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Stacey.